Welcome to the Startup Competitors Podcast, where we talk with early-stage entrepreneurs to understand what information they use to inform product roadmap, strategy, and market differentiation.
Welcome to the podcast. Today we have Taylor Simpson, who's the founder and CEO of the Halo app, like the Ohio State University. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I am excited for this. You guys, like a handful of your team members, hit me up online when I posted the 100th episode, which was awesome to see. So can't wait to hear the pitch.
Appreciate it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Let's start with a pitch for the Halo app.
Well, the Halo app is a private peer lending community that connects people, in our case, backers, people that have money, borrowers, people that need access to $100 to $1,000 in a marketplace. $100 to $1,000. We liaison the transaction.
And is that loans? Is that just friendly lending? How are those structured?
It could be a mixture of both. A lot of it is friendly. Inadvertently, it's between people, but they're loans. People that need access to cash quickly when life happens. $100 to $1,000 is a very targeted pain point area for a lot of people. Flat tires, school books for college students, groceries for your refrigerator, people paycheck to paycheck. Me and my life, my electricity was cut off, which we will dive into.
Well, I got to hear this story. Yeah. No. Do it now.
The story for me, trails back to 2015. I was an architect prior to this. I was in my dream job. And I remember calling my mother from Milan, Italy. I never imagined traveling.
You were an architect in Milan?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Working on the...
who among us hasn't been an architect in Milan?
Yeah, working on the Mexican pavilion for the World Expo. And I called my mother and I said, Mom, I think I'm going to quit. And she panicked. She screamed on the phone. But I just had this itch to become an entrepreneur. As is the same with a lot of entrepreneurs. It wouldn't go away. I dreamed about it. I found myself researching. We always do the Googles, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Steve Jobs. And I'm just like, oh, that's me. These are my peers. He didn't know a lick about entrepreneurship, but
you look like a young man. So how old were you roughly when you made this choice?
23, 24. Right. I was straight out of school.
Right on.
I did.
Then your mom was right. You're not. Yeah. Okay.
I did a year, working just around Ball State. Love Ball State. Chirp, chirp. But, left, got a job, knew it was my dream job. Forever, I wanted to design Olympic stadiums. And this was kind of a watered down version of that. I was doing like the Pan Am Games and Formula One. And I just wanted to make something that was going to change people's lives. That's really what it boiled down to. I saw all these entrepreneurs creating products that were changing people's lives and changing technology actively. And of course, I went straight to Uber. And I was sitting down with my wife now, and just asked her the question: the world's largest transportation hub, no cars, what? The world's largest hotel chain, no hotels, what? What if there was the world's largest bank? I was going through those issues, in my life as a young professional, as a young man trying to figure it out, feeling, as an outlier in the stock market community, even though, I had a few $1,000s in savings, never thought I could have a few $1,000s in savings. So I initially approached the idea from a backer perspective. I had a buddy that called me and said, man, congratulations on Milan. And when a buddy calls you and they give you compliments, they're asking for something. Oh, man, I saw your pictures on Instagram. You're the best. You're the best. Hey, what's going on?
I need a couple $100.
I need a couple $100. And, for me, I had it. It was not a big deal. I thought it was going to be worse, ask. And I did it. He said, I'll pay you back Friday, which was 4 days away. I was like, great, pay me back $200. No, I'll pay you back $250. Well, great. I just saw that I was going to make 3% on the stock market. So he did, pay me back 25%, $250 on a $200 loan in 3 days. And I just thought to myself, man, that's really cool. So I asked him the next week, hey, do you need anything? And he said, no, I'm good. And so I just, approached all of my friends. Does anybody need any help with anything? I'm here. And I got to the point, 4 or 5 months later, I was lending out to 4 or 5 friends a month. And business was great, if you could call it that, because, for me, I just enjoyed the feeling, the altruistic feeling. And I'll say it a lot, on this podcast, just of helping people. which is the core of me. And it felt good. It didn't feel like I was investing in Google stock. It felt like I was investing in people. So I did what anybody would do. And I left my job.
See, this is where I don't think anybody would do this part. This is, yeah.
I left my job in architecture. I came back to the States and I tried to start a business. And it took me, myself, my roommate, and my future wife, 30 days to start an LLC. Like, just everything was new. It was fresh. It felt like it was the story of the century. But we moved fast, and just went for it. Fast forward a year later, I spent all of my money, every single dime of it, maxed out all of my credit cards, went broke, went into depression. And it really was needed.
Paint this timeline for me. So this would have been how many years ago?
2015 to the end of 2016.
Okay.
Which was the best, year of growth of my life, 2017, leading into it.
And what happened over that year where you maxed out your credit card, spent all your money? Was that building the first version of the product? Was that what took place?
It's trying to do everything, trying to figure out what the product was, trying to figure out market fit, trying to figure out if people really needed it, validating that people need it, and then feeling the pressure of, well, now I have to build it. I don't know how to build it. How do you even get developers?
Can I ask about the depression?
Yeah, just for me, it was, I had never, I don't even call it failed, because for me, I'm really passionate about the phrase fail forward. The story is not ended. I'm still here. I'm talking to you about the same product that I was trying to build in 2015. But, the failure of it, being very public with it, not getting support from friends and family in the circle. Sometimes, people kind of making fun of your drummings a little bit, and just figuring out why it didn't work. I think a lot of times in entrepreneurship, you just don't know why things aren't working, and you just want them to work so bad.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, me, I'm the passion person forever. And why can't we get this? This is and the biggest mistake for me is I looked for VC funding. I understand it, now hindsight, but, we were moving so fast, and I almost slammed on the brake because I was like, oh, great, now let's raise $2 million. Because that's what I read about. You see the gaps in dates. You're just like, I don't know why it took Airbnb 2 years. We're raising money now. We're ready. Just that, the naivety and the arrogance. But that was, I think, my biggest mistake thinking back on it. Just keep moving, keep building, keep putting in front of people's hands. I've always done halos with my savings account. Keep doing that. Keep figuring out what people want. Keep moving forward. But I took, 6 months off of our momentum to get, 2,000 no's. And I keep those emails.
So that was early 2017?
That's late 2016.
Okay.
Team kind of disbanded. Things weren't moving anymore.
Okay, so you went out to go raise money, not successful. Looks like the team's going to break up.
Actually, funny last story. Which was kind of the straw that tipped the camel's back. Finally got a yes.
Okay.
Let's paint this picture. I had about $450 left in credit limit. Some of our other team members, whatever, all early 20s, drove out to New York City, met with a company at what I now know is a co-work space.
Okay.
Fraudulent investors that meet with entrepreneurs over the course of 4 months and then get them to pay a $5,000 due diligence payment. And so we got our term sheet, and I remember seeing it, and, we were exhilarated, we were excited, we were partying in New York. It was the best pitch we had ever
Is
done.
that company still around?
No, I can't find them.
Okay. All right. Otherwise, I was going to say you need to say who they are, but if they're not around, then don't worry about it. All right.
We did more research. We called the founders. We were very scrappy at that time. Called other founders, and they all said the same thing. Like, no, man, that was the worst thing ever. And you could just feel the morale of the team. It was done.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Started my depression a little bit, because I called all my family. Like, this is the moment I've been working for. And then after that, you could just tell. The team broke up. Yeah, I tried to keep with it, but after about 3 weeks, it was, we put it down. Fast forward 3 months, I was just more motivated than ever. I started another app called Budget Me. It was, just really just you're never going to give up. I'm the type of person that will just never give up. I promise you. Started a company called Budget Me. It was a fun little app, simple algorithm. I figured out how to code a little bit myself because I'm not paying $100,000. Right. You can, for me, and again, just a side story, I wish people would tell entrepreneurs the real skill sets that they need. Bootstrapping, creativity, those are the type of things. You don't always have to know this person. You just have to have the passion and the wherewithal and the courage to meet people and to get human capital. You don't need necessarily, $100,000. I knew my journey was going to be glaringly different when I went to my first startup event. I had raised $4,000 from my family. And I knew what F&F was. And somebody said, "Oh, you raised an F&F then. I love your idea. How much did you raise?" I said, 4,000. He said, 400? That's awesome. I said, no,
4,000.
He's like, "Oh, and I raised 300 from my uncle." I said, "Well, this is going to be different. This is our experience is just going to be jarringly different." But started the Budget Me app. It just, you put in how much you made and it showed you how much you should pay for liquor. And it was funny because, with the college kids, it's $3. And it was never the amount they actually spent on liquor. Started a company called Funfolio, which was a better way to crowdfund. Still my wife's favorite idea.
Funfolio. Did I?
Oh, we made some noise with Funfolio.
Did I see Funfolio? I feel like
You had to have. Right. It was the smartest way to crowdfund. You typed in your funding goal and it put it into a cube. It was an algorithm that put it into a cube. And it was essentially, the missed spots, especially with companies like, I was building or after school programs or nonprofits is, no, I don't have it right now, because the mentality is 10, 15, 20, 50.
Yeah.
Well, can you be my $3 cube? Always convert it. Can you be my $1? And, after school programs loved it.
Yeah. Loved
it. But I just never had the passion for it. It was always with peer-to-peer lending. I couldn't get it out of my head. So, we started picking up steam.
So when was, just give me timeline again. When was Funfolio?
2017.
Okay.
2017, started rocking and rolling with that. But I don't know what other entrepreneurs might, say on the podcast, but, if there's no passion, you're going to drown in entrepreneurship. Yep. And I kind of felt that, so much success and everyone was like, yeah, keep going. And I just could not find the motivation to do that, versus what I was passionate about. So past that went off, still doing okay. 2018, got a job at Sunglass Hut because, I tried to fill in some knowledge flaws and I could not sell lemonade to anybody on the hottest day. Okay. And I was like, okay, well, that's the one thing I'm missing and it's going to work after I learn how to sell. So I became the fashion sunglass king at Keystone Mall. I sold more Chanel's and Dior than anybody in the history. Anyone that worked with me.
All right, give me the pitch. Sell me some sunglasses. How does that go down?
It's not about being fancy. It's about the story that Coco Chanel painted when she made her glasses, growing up in an orphanage, the stained glass windows that she saw when she woke up, the insecurity she felt in being short and wanting long legs. That's why she made the black toe shoe, which cut her foot off but elongated her leg. That's the type of glasses you look like you wear. You're all about this story. You're all about what you're buying. It's not a $600 purchase for you. It's an investment. And we just go from there,
Right on. How quickly can you tell if somebody's a buyer when you go into that?
People want stuff. They walk right to it. I mean, for me, you don't look for buying signals. That's the biggest thing I learned. You just miss them and you start to recognize it the more and more you attempt to sell. Even when I pitched investors for the Halo app, it was the Halo app at that point, late 2017. I worked through the holiday season at Sunglass Hut as an assistant manager at Keystone. Into 2018, and you start to talk to people and you realize people love this idea. They don't hate it. It's not a no. It's just you're not ready yet. Or it's just you have to answer this question or this is still a hole. But buying signals are everywhere. So, I worked at Sunglass Hut for a little bit. I won a launch job for Shipt that I still can't believe. I emailed them from 8 different emails. I'll have my secretary, call you in the morning. And then I emailed them from a different name. And it saved my life because I had no money. I was still paying in the house I was at when I was in architecture, all the stuff that I had, all the expenses. And somehow for like a year, I have no clue how I made it. They tried to repossess my car. I had the repo people knocking on my door. My lights were cut off.
Dude.
We were pouring, gallon water down our backs for the shower, which even takes you to the Halo story. So, we had these atrocious water bills, $700 a month for 3 months for whatever reason. It was their flaw. And we were in a, small issues claim for a year and they never removed it. But we put our water payment on a long-term extension, our electric bill and our water payment on a long-term extension, got caught back up. My wife and I were about to have a baby. My roommate, which helped me start the other company, moved out. All the bills were coming in. I was doing well. I had just caught back up with
the baby coming.
Yeah, with my life and, stable. Money was good. I was working everywhere. I had put the entrepreneurship journey down for a little bit to raise a family, and my lights got cut off. Out of nowhere, mother-in-law was on the couch. We had breast milk in the freezer. We had just got groceries. And I always say, when your lights get cut off, it's not your lights. There's candles. There's your phones. It's the fridge. When the electricity gets cut off, the fridge is off. And I called them and they said, well, that long-term extension that you were on is in default. I was like, what long-term extension? Oh, okay. Well, how much do you need? $612. And it dawned on me in that moment that I could get it together. I had it at that time. But 100 million Americans don't. Literally don't. And that's mothers and fathers. Like, that's a pain point. That's young professionals that it could just take that one loss of confidence to feel like they can't make it. It's kids in college where stress is an all-time high. Freedom is as well. But, that's the number one reason for dropouts. Financial issues. Everything stems from financial issues, divorce, depression, suicide.
Yeah.
And I felt that for the first time, even when I was, broke and alone and depressed back in, 2016. This was 2018. And I was, I had a family. And for the first time, I panicked. I felt it. I had a panic attack, breathed a little bit. My wife grabbed me around the head, said, we have it. Relax. Paid it, got my lights cut back on. But I just could not imagine, even if people don't share that story, how people feel. And you start to realize why they do atrocious options like cash advance. You understand it. It's no more lack of education or whatever people's viewpoints are. It's like, I get it. I get why you go there and they can charge you 300, 400, 500%. Indiana's the second highest in the country. I get why people do bad things. For a long time, I never pitched that. This is in my new pitch deck. People do bad things. That's an alternative. It's not just cash advance. It's not just Reddit. It's not, some of these other startups that do so many services. It's bad things. It's cash advance, and it's begging family, which tears families apart.
Right.
And leading into the pitch, that's why we created the Halo app. A peer-to-peer lending platform where borrowers can have access to money safely from an entire country of backers. People like you and myself, people like your neighbor, people like pastors, people that are investors in this company because they do it every Sunday to their congregation. People like general contractors because they do it every single day to their independent contractors.
Yeah.
People like teachers because they do it to their coworkers. Those are the people that invested in our company because they understand what it is.
This episode is brought to you by Full Stack PEO. Most founders start companies because they figured out a better way to solve a problem or serve a need, not because they love tracking payroll, filling out compliance forms, and explaining employee benefits packages. And yet, all that stuff still has to be done. That's why there's Full Stack PEO. Full Stack PEO specializes in turnkey HR for emerging companies, not just those core services, but advice and expertise that help founders maximize employee potential. Curious? Find out more at fullstackpeo.com.
Give me the current status of the Halo app. I guess you have product that's in the market, people are using it. Just give me the quick rundown.
Launched October 1st, kicking and screaming. I mean, we were growing. It was a legendary growth. To be completely honest, like 45% week over week, just smashing it.
Since October? Is that sustained? Is that still going?
For the first 2 months, it was great. Our default rate was 70%.
Whoa.
Exactly. Which I knew it was the question that, we were going to have to step to eventually. It's a question everyone asks, but it still surprised me. Everybody, it felt like at the time, and you can ask the team too, everybody was not paying back. They weren't paying me back. They weren't paying Ariana back. They weren't paying Josh. And so we put everything on pause. We realized first and foremost, some of it was our bad. It was technology issues. But
like they tried to pay back and the app wouldn't let them? They couldn't do it? Or
cool example of what you learn when you actually launch a product and you stop just talking about
Love it. Let's hear it.
When you connect your bank account on our platform, it connects directly to your bank account. If some banks don't have both current balance and available balance. So if your bank account doesn't have both, it was coming back as null and disconnecting your bank account. So when they attempted to repay, there was no bank attached to repay.
Interesting.
That was just a random thing we could have never thought of, but that was about 50% of it. Still extremely high default, even when we fixed that. So we shut the app off and we said, let's figure it out. Let's forego growing fast for growing right, growing correctly. Yeah. And, we came across 5 issues. There was no sense of community. We spent an entire year building community, like strong. Positivity Bomb is, probably one of the most endearing brands in Indianapolis right now. We got 10,000 people wearing T-shirts. My Lyft driver had on a T-shirt and a wristband and pitched the entire company from toe to toe. I mean, passionately. I was crying like a baby in my, in the Lyft in the back seat. Never said who I was. Just showed him my Positivity Bomb T-shirt, and he said, "Yeah," it was the best moment ever. But build this community about changing your mind before we change your wallet, about thinking more positively, about it's not about the money. It's about how you're dealing with whatever problems you're going through, because it's the best possible umbrella. If you understand being more positive, you understand backing and borrowing on our platform. So we spent the year building that. When we launched the app, nobody that used the app was a part of that community. We were getting posted on Reddit. We were all over the place on Facebook, this. So that was the first thing. Let's regain control of the platform.
Okay.
Let's build a community. Let's bring it private. We're a completely private only community, which has been terrific. Also, let's change our messaging. It's not default or delinquency. It's stealing. 90% open rate on our emails on, hey, was it your intention to steal? We're going to report you for theft. Like those buzzwords give people an entirely different emotion, because that's what our platform is. You're not just this small person to chase bank. You're stealing from somebody that gave you $200 from their savings account, and people started repaying off of that message alone. I'm so sorry. I apologize. Is there any way I can pay $100 now? I'll just pay it right now. So recovery was great. We also did different things. We didn't have a CRM. We were doing no email marketing. Those are obvious solutions. And then one thing we have not solved yet is borrower education, because there is such a big gap between I only have 2 weeks to repay and I can just do minimums. There's all this space in between. They're polar opposite. Yeah. And a lot of the customer service calls were, why didn't you just do 12 weeks? You revert back to the platform. A borrower simply, just like Cash App, requests how much they need, say what it's for, and set how long they need to repay the loan, which can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 24 weeks, so up to 6 months.
Okay.
And so they have that power to choose how much they need and how long they need to repay. That's unchanged. The backer chooses how much they want to charge in backer fees. So it's just a simple sliding bar. You select a request, just like you're getting matched with Uber, and you slide 0. We've had people do 0% loans all the way up to 35%, which helps us with some usury loss, just, a transparency moment. But, why didn't you just do 16 weeks? Why did you do 4 if you couldn't pay $120 twice? Well, so there's a borrower education that we're going to implement this year, but our default dropped to 6%.
That is a big difference from 70.
Unimaginable change.
Wow.
Our growth stopped as well. So we're growing much slower, under 10%.
Month over month.
But now we're picking up. And it's like we took a month and a half gap where it was just like, This is not as fun, but we're growing just as fast now.
So how many transactions do you think you'll do in January?
Probably 200 to 300.
Okay.
200 to 300. We charge 10% per transaction.
And is that how you think about growth? Is it more about the transactions happening on the platform, or is it active users, or is it some combination of those? How do you think about it?
Usually, for me, it's total loan volume.
Okay. Yeah.
To be completely honest, because that's substantial in terms of like actual people's money.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where we start first. Like, okay, we're over $50,000 in loan volume.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah, we're about to do that this month. So, we're growing.
You're about to do that today, this month? So you're about halfway through the month, you'll hit 50,000?
No, we're at that now. We should do another 50 this month. Off of those to 300. Yeah, we take 10% of those, per transaction as a host fee. We're launching official here. We're breaking the news. A pretty cool option, in terms of inviting communities, because it's been so great. We're growing slow and it's sustainable, and people pick up the loans in 15 minutes and they always pay back. That's kind of the culture now. It's never going to grow that fast like Uber and all these other things. So there's another application where we can invite a community, say, hey, Developer Town, as an employee assistance program or just as a perk, a benefit, here's an offering. You don't have to have the cash flow for it. You don't have to break your balance sheets. You can just connect them to our platform. We'll invite your community. It still has the accountability structure that we love because, hey, Developer Town, if you're too delinquent, we're going to kick your entire company off the platform. We can do that with a lot of communities have interest, a lot of apartment complexes have interest in doing stuff like that. And then also just nonprofit communities, because those are our target users, nonprofits, churches. We're already connected with 2 churches. And so we're going to grow that. So that allows us to maintain the sustainability and the low delinquency on our private community and kick up sales. We're doing that. We're just doing 5 here in January, but starting February, we're going to go, full steam ahead. Churches, nonprofits, businesses, institutions, startups, just to have another offering, perks, benefits for their employees.
All right. When you think of competitors in the space, who or what comes to mind?
None. I say that not in ignorance, but just in, to complete honesty. In direct competitors in peer-to-peer lending, small dollars, none. The immediate thing that you think of is Lending Club, Prosper, Lending Tree. First, when you say peer-to-peer lending as a buzzword.
And or an actual payday loan person down on the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. So in list of ranking, the first one is Under the Table, is absolutely our number one competitor. So we focus a lot of attention providing a better value proposition than that, because at the end of the day, I can still ask my mamaw for $100. There's certain pain points with that. Second would probably be cash advance. Absolutely. $60 billion industry. We all know about it. We all kind of turn our ear away from it, our eyes away from it, but it exists and their users love it. I've talked to thousands of cash advance users, and it's such a blessing to have access to cash when things like the electric bill happen, just standing outside and talking to people. But they're so predatory. Even if they were a little less predatory, they would have a great customer experience. Just give me 4 weeks. I can pay you back in 4 weeks are some of the conversations. Why are you putting me on a 300% schedule?
Yeah.
And there's nothing they can do about it. So that's inadvertently one. And then, the large dollar lenders, but they literally debt consolidation loans, credit card refinance. I don't have credit cards. School refinance. I didn't go to school, are some of the use cases.
And Lending Club and Money Tree and all those are all bigger loan amounts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then LendUp, which I absolutely love.
Oh, I don't know that I know LendUp.
They're a cash advance disruptor.
Okay.
Relatively big company, direct lender though, and they still do pretty high rates because they're coming directly from a bank. They just said, hey, I have this beautiful interface that we're going to lay on top of it, and we're going to create this program that helps people go from 150%, down to eventually 40%. So that's kind of what they're doing. It's just like a step in the right direction. We're blowing all of it up. We're coming in, we're creating backers, we're creating borrowers. It's the greatest investment platform in the world. People can make 17% on average in 6 to 8 weeks through backer fees, which is extraordinary. And then, like I said before, just that good feeling of helping.
So you tried this back in 2016 with the Halo app and it didn't work. Has anybody else tried this before? Are you I have no data to back this up, but I feel like this has been tried before. Is that true?
It's been tried. I mean, for decades.
Okay.
I can trace you back to a bunch of different companies. There's a company.
So what? You don't have to go into the total history of those, except so far as to like why now? Why do you guys think it'll work now?
Because people are riding in people's cars. It's just a completely different economy. It just, people are delivering people's groceries. People are more open to things like this. The marketplace, even though we're not in the same verticals, has matured. So it's not such an obtuse idea. I think we just have a far better solution. It's rooted in being a person, not just knowing banking. I like to think that I have a pretty strong, I'm the balance of the company. I've always been a human, a person, good person, a positive person, but I didn't get hired to design at Newsley Group, which was the architecture company I worked for. I was in the finance department. I got hired I was going to take any job, but I was an estimator and I got promoted to the director of bidding, and then I was doing all of the forecasting and, finances for the company. And I fell in love with numbers. And, and then obviously from 2015 to now, just becoming an expert at one thing, just small dollar loans, what banking does, what banking is, taking money from savings accounts and, lending it out and, whatever, there's a lot of different things and just becoming an expert on all of these things. So now I have this incredible balance, between both sides. And I think that's, between community and actual financial services, there's a great balance for it. I think people missed out on building community. And I actually talked to a few ex-Prosper execs, and that was one big thing that they regret, and then just the technology that's in the back end of it.
What kind of growth do you think is sustainable growth for the product based on where it is today?
I've spent a lot of time trying to focus on today in order to be successful, because the numbers with this are just so extraordinary. If you want to look at numbers, there's just so much opportunity here. It's the largest market in the entire world. There's no market larger than ours. So I oftentimes don't even have to talk about that slide. 100 million people can't afford $500. Got it. Single parent households, service workers, which includes now rideshare drivers. Got it. You get it. So it's really just, how effectively can we put this in people's hands? And I think that's where the invite solution, inviting communities, inviting businesses to use it as an offering is a very good way for us to grow, fairly quickly and fairly correctly. I think we're going to do $5 million. I know we're going to do $5 million in loans this year. Christmas was huge for us. It was we just weren't inviting people. We had 2,000 people on a wait list for Christmas, 3 months in. That could be 100,000, people next Christmas.
Why the wait list?
Creates demand. One, it's private. We don't know how we're going to convert people yet. That's a solution we want to talk to with, mentors and investors and firms that invest in our company in this next round.
Right on. All right.
Yeah. And you just talk through it. How can we build a good solution for it? But it's literally creates the demand. I call it the diamond effect. We provide extraordinary value. Any backer that, loses money, we can give it right back because the default's so low now. People are not stealing. It's sustainable. People are backing people quickly. How do we not blow that up and mess it up? By inviting everyone from our wait list. So, ideally, we want to create some sort of, onboarding curriculum. I want to have 1 million people on a wait list and send them an email that says, hey, you're now in top 1,000. You're now eligible for an interview. I'm not afraid of that, Hey, what makes you trust? And I learned that a lot from Shipt, to be completely honest. Their onboarding for shoppers was extraordinary. If somebody asks for organic, what are you getting if they don't have organic? Like those psychological questions, there's a psychology behind it that, we can do and implement, and, we can start to onboard even faster those people on the wait list. And while we're at it, we can just pump out marketing. Access to cash, $100, $1,000, this. Look how simple it is to make money and just keep growing that wait list and seeing the demand grow.
Fantastic. If you had $500,000 to spend right now on sales and marketing, how would you spend it?
The product. I mean, the products is essentially our best marketing tool right now because we have a lot of word of mouth. Non-paid advertising and marketing is huge for us. We would build a dashboard. We're doing everything without a dashboard right now, which I get laughed at whenever I talk to developers. Just somehow we're controlling this thing. But, also a referral program. We're testing out with some Lyft drivers right now. Just, hey, if we gave you $5 for anybody that came and used Ashley, when they onboarded, we'll not only let them into our community, but we'll give you $5 for it. It's been great. We're just testing it out. So we're definitely going to look into that Q2 of this year. But, building out an infrastructure for something like a referral program, some dev tweaks, again, because I think the product is, once you see it and feel it and touch it and navigate it, you immediately think, I've never used anything like this in my entire life. This is kind of cool. So yeah, just continue to build it out, make it easier, make it a better experience.
Taylor, thank you so much. We're at time. Man, you weren't joking when you said you'd be transparent. I love it. Thank you. You've been amazing. If people want to get in touch with you, learn more about the Halo app, what's the best way for them to do that?
Everything the Halo app, Mike. So, my email, taylor@thehaloapp.com, is always available. I will respond within 24 hours. I'm not the best at that.
It's a big promise.
Yes, I can respond. I usually just say, hey, I'll get back to it in 5 minutes. That's like my goal for this year. Thehaloapp.com, the Halo app on every social channel, and you'll be able to find us. We're trying to make as much noise as possible. So hopefully you can just Google the THE and we'll pop up on Google. So
nice.
We'll see.
If to set expectations, if people go to thehaloapp.com or they download the app and they put themselves on the waiting list, how long should they expect to be there?
I would get a referral from Mike.
Right on.
Or if you put, we're going to get an influx of a bunch of people that put Mike.
I love it.
If you put Mike down or if you put Taylor down, we'll let you try it.
Oh, right on, man.
We want to invite everybody. We want to let everyone in. Just take care of it, please. We built this for people. We built it a specific way because we think this can exist and really change people's lives on both ends. So, if you use Mike, if you use Taylor, we'll let you in. Just take care of it.
Taylor, you're awesome, man. Thank you so much. I can't wait to do this a year from now, see where we're at.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
If you're thinking of launching a SaaS product, Startup Competitors can provide data on your closest competitors, survey potential users, or provide other product validation services. Learn more at startupcompetitors.com.